Okay, welcome to the Records Week 5 video. I'm here with Austen and Gregerson like we are every week. I'm going to go over this week's game, give our predictions on what we think is going to happen. So we'll start right away with Stanton at St. Augustine. It's another District 4-6A matchup. And like most of them, this is probably going to be another blowout. I think if Stanton scores, just like they did last year, it'll be with a running clock in the second half, possibly even by the third quarter. What do your thoughts?
Yeah, we're getting kind of into the point of the season now where some of the district games aren't going to be quite as entertaining as some of the non-district ones have been earlier in the season. So once again, it's going to be a job for Joey Wiles and his staff to kind of keep his players focused, as they move on deeper into the schedule. But I agree with you. It's going to be maybe a short night for Stanton, I guess, with the running clock.
Yeah, anyone who's new to District 4-6A outside of Bartram Trail and maybe Atlantic Coast, all the games are going to go like this and kind of be different levels of horrible. So just like it was last week with Englewood and Wolfson. So
I just hope more people show up than Englewood's fans did. That was.
I wouldn't count on it, probably.
I'm sorry, Englewood.
Well, speaking of that, I'm going to talk next about Lee at Bartram Trail. This is basically, you could basically take all those 4-6A teams, put against St. Augustine and Bartram. It's going to be similar results in this situation. Lee, Englewood, just, equally bad. I think Lee may be a little better, but this is a team Bartram beat 58-8 last year, and I pretty much expect it to go the same way.
I expect the same thing too, but the only thing I want to comment on is the fact that we're still naming schools after Confederate generals. Robert E. Lee High School, but I don't know. We're just two Yankees, what do we know? So.
Well, we'll go to our game of the week next, which is actually hopefully going to be an entertaining one, which is Creekside at Providence. Now, this game last year, if you're wondering why it's the game of the week, was a 41-31 game that was decided in the last couple of minutes. Creekside went for it on fourth down on their own 29, which seemed crazy at the time, but quarterback Adam Sandin picked it up. They went on the score, win by 10, when actually minutes before Episcopal missed a short field goal that would have tied the game. So no more Luke Del Rio at quarterback for Creekside. He was the son of former Jaguars coach Jack Del Rio, but at the same time it should still be a very competitive game, probably the most competitive game of the night.
Yeah, I'll be at this the Creekside Episcopal game for all of you in attendance, which I'm sure none of you will recognize me or see this video. But I am interested to see how Creekside actually goes into a game with a winning streak this season. A good quote I saw from the paper last week was Coach knew that how his team would respond 3-0. You want to see how they respond 0-3. Let's see if they can keep that up against another non-district opponent, which might mean they will lose because their only win this season is against a district opponent. But
yeah, I guess it wouldn't matter though.
So yeah, and a good thing for Creekside is they may be 1-3, but they're 1-0 in district, and they're right in the heat of things. So maybe just getting roughed up the first few weeks, might be good for them down the season. But we'll see against a pretty solid Episcopal team.
Mm-hmm. The next game we'll move on to is Ponte Vedra at Flagler Palm Coast. Now, looking at Flagler Palm Coast's schedule, it seems like they have a very good team, been off to a very good start. Mm-hmm. But I've seen them in the past, and I'm just wary about Palm Coast teams when they play teams from the county. It's usually pretty lopsided. I saw Flagler Palm Coast in the summer, and they weren't, anything really what they are now. But that doesn't mean necessarily that they're not going to be very good. At the same time, I'm a little wary, and I think Ponte Vedra will be able to win this game pretty easily, but maybe the Bulldogs will be a little better than advertised.
Yeah, on paper, I thought this was, at least a contender for a game of the week, but Danny quickly corrected me and informed me about the not so much of a rivalry between Palm Coast and is it Flagler County? I don't even know the name of the county. All right. Well, against St. John's County. St. John's County just dominating the region, but I do think that Ponte Vedra, I want to see them face a team that they should beat, but maybe we'll see a little bit of cracks in the armor. Obviously, against when they played Bartram, they didn't play a perfect game. They played very well, but let's see if that was a fluke or not. Let's see if they can beat another at the very least Flagler Palm Coast even solid.
Yeah, since I've been here, which is over 4 years, a team from Flagler County, whether it be Palm Coast or Matanzas, has never beaten a county team. So it's just hard for me to look at it and think it's going to go any other way, especially when Ponte Vedra is one of the more solid teams in the county, being a playoff team and what have you. So the next game we have is Menendez at Middleburg. Now, thankfully I'm not making the drive up there. For anyone who's ever done it, is in the middle of nowhere. But I think it'll be a game that Menendez should be able to win. If you look at Middleburg, Nice was able to beat this team without actually throwing a pass or completing a pass. So if you think about that, Menendez actually, I think, is probably better than Nice right now by a pretty sizable margin. So just, if you look at that, it's pretty simple. I think they'll probably win.
Yeah, I mean, Menendez has legitimate athletes at skill positions, and and luckily, if Nice can beat them without throwing a pass, Menendez has struggled a little bit throwing the ball this season, so that might not come back to haunt them against Middleburg, if I'm assuming correctly.
Yeah, and I think running the ball, they have more options than Nice
Right.
does, and then at the same time, they can throw it better. They've got Tyus Mitchell on the outsides better than anybody Nice has. So
Right, a little bit more experience on Menendez's side, even though they have a first-year starting quarterback. I mean, the Nice offense is nothing but freshmen, basically, and it's freshmen and sophomores, so.
yeah, well, I guess then we could transition to Nice, who's hosting Eaglesview.
Mm.
Now, Eaglesview is a 2A school. Last year they were able to beat them, but it was a close game. And I think, I don't really have a reason to pick Eaglesview here. I think Nice probably will win, but just because I'm trying to make up some ground in the standings behind Austen, who was off to a fast start since he didn't know what he was actually doing.
Exactly.
And he couldn't pick upsets that happened, so
I'll
pick Eaglesview for that reason. But it'll be a close game, I think.
Yeah, I'm like the girlfriend who just picks the NCAA college bracket, March Madness bracket, based on the team mascots, and somehow.
The fantasy rookie who wins.
Yeah, exactly. I'm that guy who everyone hates. But yeah, I do think Nice will win, just because I have, just kind of keeping track of them a little bit. I have seen a little bit of growth from their team offensively. I like what they're doing at the quarterback, where it seems like at least they have identities with Joey Eden being able to throw the ball. Now they can just find someone who can catch the ball for them. That'll help it out a little bit. But I like the trajectory they're going. They are Eaglesview is a 2A school, even though they're a pretty solid 2A school. But I don't think it should be too much for Nice to overcome. And they get actually get to know who's playing defense for them this week, which will be good.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's all we got for you this week. So once again, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook for live updates, or just head to staugustine.com.